The foreign policy of the Hamamdan polity was to maintain a balance of power between its peer civilizations for tens of thousands of years. The rise of the culture polity threatened this balance of power, enacting the fears of Hamamda. Conflict between the culture and the Idiran Empire was inevitable, following a series of disputes in 1267 CE, 1288 CE, and 1307 CE. The culture built its first warship in 500 years after the second dispute in 1289 CE. The warships of Hamamda were superior to that of the cultures. A fourth dispute in 1323 CE saw armed conflict erupt once again. The possibility of war with the Idiran Empire caused parts of the culture to secede. In 1327 CE, the Idiran-Culture War Conduct Agreement ratified, officially starting the war. The Hamamdan polity's entrance into the war in a limited capacity was expected. The polity did not seek the destruction of the culture, merely to limit the culture's expansion of power. Hamamda would only commit itself fully to the war if the culture threatened to attack Hamamdan homeworlds. As would be expected, the disputes between Hamamda and the culture were always insignificant to those between the culture and the Idiran Empire. The early stages of the war saw the culture fall back, and the Idiran Empire found difficulty in locating and attacking distant nodes of the culture war production. The forced subjugation of lesser uncooperative civilizations due to the culture's retreat by the Idiran Empire occurred. Several insignificant orbitals were attacked. This resulted in the deaths of billions of people. This only stretched the military forces of the Idiran Empire further, however, and continued to do so. The culture's general contact units, ships whose main objective was making first contact and gathering information, were the main ships used by the culture during the early stages of the war. These ships were outnumbered by Idiran vessels, but they were technologically superior. The General Contact Unit ships were not designed as warships. Despite this, they're still a formidable force to be reckoned with, having the ability to waste entire planets. The culture came out of the war victorious. The Idiran Empire was dissolved and the culture demobilized. The demobilization saw the scrapping of most culture warships, with a few being disarmed or stored for later use. The culture's determination to return to peacetime activities post-war affected its foreign policy. One such example is the culture rejecting change to the affront polity through the use of war, resulting in the affront becoming a long-term problem for the culture's foreign policy. Millions of citizens within the culture went into storage, with instructions that they were not to be revived until the culture found that the war was morally justified. The moral justification was that more people would have died from the Idiran Empire's expansion than the war itself. The Hamamdan polity found that the culture was a reasonable civilization, and the two polities forged friendly relationships with one another. Not all Idiran citizens accepted the loss of their polity. Some committed acts of suicide, others fled to the Magellanic Clouds, and some fled to the Andromeda Galaxy. A very small portion of the Idiran citizenry fled to the culture or entered the culture's employ.